aka Spider-Man, aka the Spider Menace. But rest assured, dear viewers, good night.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my Spider-Man No Way Home video for the Venom alternate ending and deleted scenes with the Venom character. The writers of the movie revealed that they originally had a lot of different plans for the Venom character, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I do Marvel videos every week. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. Careful for spoilers from Spider-Man No Way Home if you have not seen the movie yet, because we need to talk about the ending and what happens with the Venom character. But the writers of the movie revealed that they did in fact start with an alternate plan for Venom in the film. In the theatrical cut, he just appears as a post-credit scene, like a really quick tag scene, or mid-credit scene technically, to pay off the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene that we already saw of him being teleported into the MCU universe and then seeing Spider-Man and hyping up a big fight between the two of them.
Assured, dear viewers, we here at the Daily Bugle will not rest until we've uncovered the behind his web of lies. I'm Jay Jonas.
They just have a funny scene of him getting drunk at the bar after the events of the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene with the Football is Life character from Ted Lasso. If you felt like this actor was familiar, but you couldn't remember where you saw him, it was from Ted Lasso. Venom and Eddie Brock basically recap the events of the Marvel movies, the Infinity Saga movies, talking about Iron Man, the Hulk, Infinity Stones, the Infinity Gauntlet. The bartender yells at him for joking about the snap and the 5-year time jump because he lost his family. And then Eddie Brock says, well, maybe we should go to New York City and talk to this Spider-Man character before he and the Venom symbiote get teleported back to his universe by Doctor Strange's second spell at the end of the film. But they do leave behind a piece of the symbiote so that Marvel and Sony can do their own version of a symbiote saga in the new Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy in the MCU. If you weren't sure what's happening between Marvel and Sony, he is staying in the MCU. It's just they're sharing the character with Sony, so versions of Spider-Man, including Tom Holland's Spider-Man, will sometimes eventually show up in Sony-driven films. Although I wouldn't be surprised if this little piece of symbiote bonds with the bartender first, and then slowly jumps from host to host until it makes its way into Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But according to the writers, Venom's storyline in the movie was originally supposed to be way bigger. If you felt like the movie wasn't already big enough, like there was already a lot of crazy stuff happening in the third act with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man entering the movie. But according to the writers, Venom was legit supposed to be on screen fighting in that huge final battle at the Statue of Liberty with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and the Sinister Six characters. The writers didn't reveal exactly how those scenes were going to play out during the final battle. Like during the Statue of Liberty fight, they tried to give special moments to all 3 different versions of Spider-Man. Each of them get a lot of good scenes, a lot of good moments. So it was already a lot for them to juggle, like it would have been hard to work Venom in, but apparently there was a version they started the movie with Venom in this big final fight, also having his own moments and scenes. But since they ended the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene with him saying that guy, like he thought that Spider-Man was a bad guy they needed to stop, and Eddie in the theatrical post-credit scene said maybe I should go to New York and talk to this Spider-Man guy, I think it's safe to say Venom would have started the movie the same way that Dr. Octopus did. Very similar arc, like he starts out in the movie fighting Spider-Man, thinking that he's a villain, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man thinks that Venom is another multiverse villain that he needs to help. Like, why are you trying to kill me? I'm trying to save you.
Hi, do I know you?
And quickly, before the big final battle, Venom would realize that Spider-Man is a good guy and then try to help him, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield during the final fight. And it would have just been an even bigger, even crazier version of the fight that we saw in the theatrical cut. The writers also confirm my theory about how Tom Hardy's Venom recognized Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's because of the hive memories across the multiverse. The writers basically said what I've been saying since my Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene video. So I'll link that video below in the description as well, along with the other videos. But the idea is that the symbiotes all have this multiverse hive mind linking them across the multiverse in genetic memory that allows each symbiote to access the memories of all the other symbiotes in every universe going back to the creation of their race.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
So the Spider-Man No Way Home writers confirmed that in the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene when Venom says, that guy, what the Marvel and Sony people meant is that he's seeing Spider-Man in the costume and the symbol and making the connection to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3 by accessing the memories of the Topher Grace Venom symbiote. But it's not perfect recall, so he's just sort of mixing and matching things in his head, like things are all bleeding together. So he remembers a version of Spider-Man that looks kind of like this, but not exactly like this. So he says, oh, that guy, he looks kind of like that guy, thinking of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So it's not a Topher Grace Venom cameo scene or anything like that for people that wondered why he wasn't referenced anywhere in the movie, but it's about as close as you could get to referencing his version of the character. And yes, they did tease alternate Spider-Man No Way Home post-credit scenes featuring Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man. Like they discussed having legit post-credit scenes for both of their characters. In the theatrical cut, Doctor Strange's second spell just sends them home when all the other Sinister Six characters get sent home, and that's the last time you see them. But the writer said when they were developing Tobey and Andrew's storylines, there were a lot of conversations about teasing the future of their characters in the larger multiverse, like what was going to be happening to them next after the events of this film. And as a lot of you have suspected, the Marvel and Sony people had talked about the possibility of bringing them back for more cameos in future movies. You probably saw a lot of this in your timeline the past couple of weeks since the movie came out, like Marvel and Sony want Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back for more movies. They said that one of Tobey Maguire's big things when he was signing on to the film was that he didn't want the writers to completely script out everything that happened to his Spider-Man after the end of Spider-Man 3. Like, he wanted as light a touch as possible, like very loose references at best. That's why in the movie you only briefly hear him mention having a family with his version of MJ in present day and kind of alluding to what might have happened to his character. Like, he gave Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man a pep talk saying it's totally possible for you to have a family. Like when he was giving Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man that pep talk saying it's totally possible for him to have a family and be Spider-Man. Because Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man just had not moved on from his versions of Gwen Stacy, like he hadn't fallen in love with anyone else after that. But Andrew Garfield, on the other side of that, when he was signing on to the movie, the writer said that he loved all the ideas that they pitched to him about what happened to his character after the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. About how he went super dark after Gwen Stacy's death, turned rageful, bitter, stopped pulling his punches. For those of you who have been seeing all the Amazing Spider-Man 3 posts in your timeline. So that's why they wrote so much more story about what happened to him after Amazing Spider-Man 2 than they did for, say, like Tobey Maguire after the end of Spider-Man 3. Because Tobey specifically asked them not to do that, and Andrew Garfield was like, oh hell yes, please do that. I think a lot of that was because Andrew Garfield did not get that third Spider-Man film and Tobey Maguire did. Like there was so much more story to tell for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man than there was for Tobey Maguire's. So bringing it back around to Amazing Spider-Man 3, they basically implied in the film through Andrew's story that he'd either had or was getting ready to have a version of his own symbiote saga, like his version of a Tobey Maguire Venom storyline in Spider-Man 3. Because the whole idea in Spider-Man 3 is that he goes super dark, rageful, and bitter, and that's when he gets the symbiote, and it just makes him that much worse.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
There have also recently been rumors that Venom 3 will be a multiverse movie with Tom Hardy's Venom encountering a version of Spider-Man, and that could always wind up being Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. That's just a rumor though. I think Andrew Garfield for sure will show up again in another multiverse or Spider-Verse Spider-Man movie. Tobey Maguire too eventually, but probably not as much as Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield stole every scene he was in during Spider-Man No Way Home. Like they legit redeemed his character and his Amazing Spider-Man movies a lot. Electro probably got the biggest glow up, metaphorically and literally, of any of the Sinister Six villains. In bringing this back around to the Spider-Verse movies, I've mentioned this before, but the animated Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse producers have also implied that Tom Holland will cross over in one of the Spider-Verse sequel movies. The next one, Across the Spider-Verse, is actually a two-parter, so at least by part 2. And originally, in the very first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, they had wanted to do Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield cameos, but at the time, like around 2017, 2018, when they would have actually been recording their cameos, Sony apparently said that it was too soon to bring them back. Now remember, this is a couple years ago, but clearly now, in present day, is the right time, since Spider-Man No Way Home is basically a live-action Spider-Verse movie. And with the big Miles Morales Easter egg during Spider-Man No Way Home, just talking about Miles Morales in the MCU, there are a number of different ways they can introduce him, but the boss-level Spider-Man move they should go for is just having the animated Miles Morales travel into the live-action MCU Earth at the very end of the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 2 movie. Like they end that movie with a post-credit scene of him traveling from an animated universe into the live-action MCU. If you're an old-school Simpsons fan, they actually did this twist during a Treehouse of Horror episode. Homer Simpson gets teleported from an animated universe into the real world, and you see his avatar walking around a regular street all freaked out like, what is happening? They also did a version of this on Gravity Falls with the animated actors, so like it flashes from the animated characters to their voiceover actors. You also notice Linda Cardellini is here. She plays Hawkeye's wife in the MCU. She was a character on Gravity Falls, so that's why she's sitting here when they flash to the live-action version of the characters. But they should just do a Miles Morales version of this, looking kind of like the Gravity Falls version, where the animated character just jumps into live action and is played by a live-action actor. And even though all this Venom stuff is really cool, there are still a bunch of other deleted scenes that I need to do a video about. They've revealed a whole bunch of things that they just cut out of the film, so I might do that video in the next couple of days as well. Congratulations, Supermind Theorizer 42, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Spider-Man video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everyone click here to learn about a bunch more Spider-Man No Way Home deleted scenes and alternate endings, and click here for my full Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and Happy New Year!